Have you ever reached a goal you've chased for years? A promotion, a business milestone, a certain number in your bank account, only to feel a strange, hollow echo where you expected triumphant joy? Have you ever looked at your life, a life that by all external measures is a picture of success, and felt a quiet, nagging sense that there is something more, something vast and vital within you that remains untouched, unseen, and untapped? It's a confusing, almost guilt-inducing feeling. You have what everyone says you should want, yet you feel like a stranger to your own capabilities, blind to a potential that whispers to you in the silent moments of the night. You are not alone in this paradox. In fact, this blindness is an epidemic, and it often strikes the successful most severely. We will explore why this happens, why the very architecture of success can build a wall around our true potential. We will dismantle the comfortable lies we tell ourselves and shine a light on the hidden cages we mistake for castles. And if you stay with me until the end, I will share with you an ancient story that perfectly captures this profound human dilemma. The journey to understanding our potential begins with a radical redefinition of the word itself. In our modern lexicon, potential has been hijacked. It's become synonymous with career trajectory, earning capacity, and social status. We talk about high potential employees or untapped market potential. It's all external. It's all about what we can achieve, acquire, and display to the world. But the Stoics, those ancient masters of the human soul, would find this definition tragically incomplete. For them, potential had little to do with your job title or the size of your estate. Your true potential was your capacity for virtue. It was about becoming the best possible version of a human being, not in the eyes of others, but according to the unwavering standards of your own character. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, arguably the most powerful man in the world during his time, spent his evenings not counting his wealth or basking in his glory, but writing to himself, reminding himself to be a better man. He wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." His potential was not in ruling the world, but in ruling his own mind. So when we talk about being blind to our potential, we are not just talking about missing out on a better job. We are talking about missing out on a better self. We are talking about living a life of quiet desperation while sitting on a throne of our own achievements. The question is why? What are the mechanisms that create this profound blindness, even in the most brilliant and accomplished among us? The first and perhaps most seductive reason is what we can call the golden handcuffs of success. Society provides us with a very clear, well-lit path. Go to a good school, get a prestigious job, climb the ladder, buy the house, accumulate the assets. This path is paved with rewards, money, respect, security, and the approval of our peers. When we walk it, we are celebrated. We become a success story. But every step we take on this pre-approved path, the handcuffs get a little tighter. These are not the cold, iron shackles of a prison. They are golden, comfortable, and admired by all. We wear them with pride. The problem is that this path was designed by someone else. It's a generic blueprint for a good life, and it rarely accounts for the unique architecture of an individual soul. We might have a passion for philosophy, a talent for carpentry, or a deep-seated need to help others in a way that our corporate job doesn't allow. But straying from the path is terrifying. It means giving up the security, the status, the steady stream of external validation. It means risking failure and ridicule. So we stay on the path. We tell ourselves we are being practical, responsible. We convince ourselves that our passions are just hobbies, childish dreams that have no place in the real world. The philosopher and statesman Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, saw this trap clearly. He observed how people become slaves to their possessions and reputation. He wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." The golden handcuffs work in tandem with a psychological phenomenon known as hedonic adaptation. This is the observed tendency of humans to quickly return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite major positive or negative life events. You get the big promotion, and for a week, maybe a month, you feel incredible. But soon that new reality becomes your baseline. The thrill fades, the new salary becomes normal. The corner office is just an office. And so you need a new goal, a bigger achievement, to get that same hit of satisfaction. You are on a treadmill, running faster and faster just to stay in the same place emotionally. This relentless pursuit of the next external goal keeps you so busy, so focused on the outside world, that you never have the time or the mental space to look inward. You are too busy polishing your golden handcuffs to ever question if you even want to be wearing them. Your potential for inner growth, for cultivating virtue, for exploring what truly gives your life meaning remains dormant. You have successfully climbed a ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. The second major cause of our blindness is the dense, disorienting fog of external validation. From the moment we are born, we are trained to look outside of ourselves for confirmation of our worth. As children, we seek the approval of our parents and teachers. As adolescents, we crave the acceptance of our peers. As adults, this need metastasizes. We chase likes on social media, praise from our bosses, admiration from our neighbors, and envy from our rivals. We construct our entire identity based on the reflections we see in the eyes of others. We become a collage of other people's expectations. The Stoics taught a revolutionary idea about human psychology. It is not external events that cause our distress, but our own judgments about those events. A word of praise from a colleague is, in itself, just a sound. A critical comment is just a vibration in the air. They have no inherent power over us. They only gain power when we grant it to them, when we make the internal judgment, that praise makes me valuable, or that criticism makes me worthless. The philosopher Epictetus stated this with piercing clarity. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. We mistakenly believe our happiness and misery are in the hands of others. So we spend our lives trying to please and appease them, making them the puppeteers of our emotions. This turns our attention completely outward. We become hyper-vigilant, constantly scanning the faces and words of others for clues about our own worth. This exhausting external focus leaves no energy for the internal work of self-examination and character building. Our potential for self-mastery remains dormant because we have given the power of judgment, the very tool required to unlock it, away to the crowd. Think about how radical that statement is. He is telling us that the price of genuine self-improvement is the willingness to be misunderstood and judged by others. Why? Because the path to your true potential is your path alone. It will not always make sense to your family, your friends, or your colleagues. It may require you to take a pay cut, to change careers, to move to a new city, to adopt a lifestyle that others find strange. If you are constantly looking over your shoulder for applause, you will never have the courage to take the first step onto that unique path. The fog of external validation blinds you by constantly redirecting your gaze. Instead of looking inward to your own internal compass, your values, your principles, your conscience, you are looking outward, trying to navigate by the flickering, unreliable lights of other people's opinions. You make choices not based on what is right, but on what will look right. You pursue goals not because they are meaningful, but because they are impressive. And over time, that internal compass, from lack of use, begins to rust. You forget how to read it. You may not even remember it's there. You become so accustomed to the fog that you forget what it's like to see clearly. Your potential remains hidden because you are looking for it in everyone else's backyard instead of your own. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly to retreat inward. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. It is in that quiet retreat, far from the roar of the crowd, that the map to our potential can be found. Flowing directly from the comfort of success and the need for validation is the third great obstacle, the tyranny of comfort. Human beings are biologically wired to seek comfort and avoid pain. It is a survival instinct. But in the modern world, especially for those who have achieved a measure of success, this instinct has gone into overdrive. We have become masters at constructing lives devoid of genuine hardship. We have climate-controlled homes, food delivered to our door, entertainment on demand, and careers that, once we reach a certain level, can often be managed without breaking too much of a sweat. We have successfully eliminated most sources of physical and mental friction from our lives. And we call this progress. The Stoics would call it a trap. They believe that the human spirit does not grow in the fertile soil of comfort. It is forged in the fires of adversity. Seneca saw hardship not as something to be avoided, but as a necessary training partner for the soul. A life without challenges is like a muscle that is never exercised. It will inevitably atrophy. You may be safe, you may be comfortable, but you will be weak. Successful people are particularly vulnerable to this tyranny. They have the resources to build thicker walls, to insulate themselves more effectively from the harsh realities of the world. They can afford to avoid the crowded bus, the difficult conversation, the risky venture. They create a bubble of ease, and within that bubble, their potential for resilience, courage, and growth suffocates. They forget what it feels like to be truly tested. Their perception of their own limits begins to shrink because they never push against them. To combat this, the Stoics practice what we might call voluntary discomfort. They would intentionally sleep on a hard floor, eat plain food for a few days, or walk out in the cold without a proper coat. This wasn't a form of self-punishment. It was a form of training, a vaccine against misfortune. By exposing themselves to small, controlled doses of hardship, they achieved two things. First, they expanded their comfort zone and realized they could endure far more than they thought. Second, they cultivated a deep sense of gratitude for the things they normally took for granted. After a night on the floor, a simple bed feels like the height of luxury. By systematically avoiding discomfort, we are systematically avoiding opportunities for growth. We are telling ourselves subconsciously that we are too fragile to handle challenges. This belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We become blind to our potential for strength because we never dare to use it. We think our potential lies at the end of a smooth, easy road, when in reality, it is found on the rocky, uphill path that we are so desperate to avoid. The inventor Charles Kettering put it perfectly. Keep on going, and the chances are that you will stumble on something, perhaps when you are least expecting it. I have never heard of anyone ever stumbling on something sitting down. The fourth barrier that obscures our vision is the shadow of past identities. As we move through life, we collect labels: student, intern, manager, director, vice president. We also collect identities: the creative one, the analytical one, the responsible one. These labels and identities are earned through hard work, and they serve a purpose. They help us understand ourselves and help others understand us. But they can also become prisons. Once we achieve a certain level of success in a particular role, that identity can become incredibly powerful and rigid. A successful lawyer starts to think, act, and see the world exclusively as a lawyer. A celebrated artist sees everything through the lens of their art. The identity that brought them success becomes their entire world. They pour all of their energy into maintaining and reinforcing this identity because it is safe, familiar, and validated by the outside world. The problem is that human beings are not static. We are multifaceted, dynamic creatures. The lawyer may have a hidden talent for poetry. The artist may have a brilliant mind for business strategy. But exploring these other facets feels like a betrayal of the successful identity they have worked so hard to build. It feels risky and amateurish. To be a beginner again after being an expert for so long is a humbling and often terrifying experience. So they don't do it. They stay in their lane. They continue to play the part that has brought them applause. The Stoics had a much more fluid concept of the self. They saw life as a continuous process of becoming. The goal was not to achieve a fixed, successful identity, but to engage in the constant daily practice of becoming more virtuous. Your identity was not successful person, but person striving for wisdom. This is a much more liberating and empowering framework. It allows for growth, change, and exploration. It acknowledges that the person you are today is not the person you have to be tomorrow. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus, whose ideas influenced the Stoics, famously said, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man." When we cling too tightly to a past identity, we become blind to our future possibilities. We are looking at our potential through a keyhole, able to see only the narrow view that our current identity allows. We forget that we have the power to step back, to open the door, and to see the entire landscape of who we could become. We are so invested in the story of who we have been that we are afraid to write a new chapter. This fear keeps us locked in a single room of our own vast inner mansion, unaware of the countless other rooms waiting to be explored. So we find ourselves trapped by golden handcuffs, lost in a fog of validation, weakened by the tyranny of comfort, and imprisoned by our own past. It can feel like a hopeless situation, but the same ancient philosophy that so clearly diagnoses the problem also provides a powerful set of tools to cure it. Unlocking your vision and seeing your true potential requires a deliberate and consistent practice of turning your attention inward. The first tool is what Marcus Aurelius called taking the view from above. This is a powerful meditative exercise. In your mind, imagine yourself rising up from your chair, through the roof of your building, high above your city, until you can see your entire country, then the continent, then the whole earth as a swirling blue marble in the vast, silent darkness of space. From this vantage point, look down upon the frantic activities of humanity. See the wars, the politics, the building of empires, and their inevitable collapse. See people being born and people dying. From this cosmic perspective, where does your promotion fit in? Your quarterly targets? The argument you had with a colleague? They all shrink to their proper, insignificant size. This exercise is not meant to make you feel nihilistic, but to grant you perspective. It shatters the illusion that your current, earthbound concerns are the most important things in the universe. It creates a mental space where you can ask bigger questions. What truly matters? What is a good life? What kind of person do I want to be in the short time I have on this planet? From the view from above, you can see past the walls of your own success and glimpse the larger territory of your human potential. The second tool is the practice of philosophical journaling. This is not a diary for recording the events of your day. It is a rigorous, honest examination of your inner world. At the end of each day, as Seneca recommended, you put yourself on trial. You ask yourself, what fault did I correct today? What vice did I resist? In what way am I better? You write down your thoughts, your judgments, and your actions, and you analyze them against your own principles. Did I act out of fear today? Was I driven by a need for approval? Did I choose comfort over what was right? This daily practice of self-reflection is like cleaning a dirty window. Day by day, you wipe away the grime of subconscious biases, irrational fears, and societal conditioning. Slowly but surely, the light begins to shine through, and you start to see yourself and your potential with startling clarity. The third and most crucial tool is to consciously define your own philosophy of life. You must build your own internal scorecard. Society has already given you one based on wealth, status, and power. If you don't consciously reject it, you will unconsciously adopt it. You must sit down and define what success means to you. What is your highest good? For the Stoics, the answer was clear. Virtue, a life of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. This was their North Star. It guided every decision and every action. Your North Star might be slightly different. It could be creativity, compassion, knowledge, or service. The specific definition is less important than the act of defining it. Once you have your own internal scorecard, you are no longer playing someone else's game. You can be a failure in the eyes of the world, but a resounding success by your own standards. And that is the only judgment that will bring you true peace and fulfillment. You stop being blind to your potential because you are finally looking for it in the right place. Finally, the Stoics used a tool that may sound morbid, but is, in fact, profoundly life-affirming. Memento mori, the remembrance of death. By keeping the reality of your own mortality at the forefront of your mind, you gain an incredible sense of urgency and focus. Steve Jobs, in his famous Stanford commencement address, spoke of this. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. The thought of death strips away all the non-essentials, the fear of embarrassment, the pride, the chase for more money. It all falls away in the face of oblivion. Memento mori forces you to ask the ultimate question. Am I using my limited time to become the person I am capable of becoming? It is the ultimate antidote to complacency. It is the bright, clarifying light that burns away the fog and illuminates the path you know you must walk. Now, before you go, let me tell you a story that illustrates today's episode. The parable of the Zen master and the scholar. A great scholar, a man renowned throughout the country for his intellect and his many published books, came to visit a wise old Zen master. The scholar had come not to learn, but to demonstrate his own knowledge and to gauge the wisdom of the famous master. Master, the scholar began, without waiting for an invitation to speak, I have studied the great texts. I have debated the finest minds. I have come to discuss with you the nature of truth and the path to enlightenment. The old master smiled gently and gestured to a low table. First, he said, let us have some tea. The master brought out a simple teapot and 2 cups. As the scholar continued to speak at length about his complex theories and profound insights, the master began to pour tea into his guest's cup. He poured until the cup was full, and then he kept pouring. The hot tea overflowed, spilling onto the saucer, and then onto the table, pooling near the scholar's expensive robes. The scholar, shocked out of his monologue, cried out, "Stop! The cup is full! No more will go in!" The old master stopped pouring, looked at the scholar with eyes that were both kind and piercing, and said, "Like this cup, you are full of your own opinions, your past successes, and your speculations. You are overflowing with what you think you know. How can I show you anything new when you have brought no empty cup to receive it?" The scholar sat in stunned silence, looking at the overflowing cup. For the first time in years, he had nothing to say. He realized that his greatest achievement, his vast knowledge, had become the very barrier that prevented him from seeing anything more. The scholar in the story is each and every one of us who has ever found success. His cup, overflowing with tea, is a perfect metaphor for a life overflowing with achievements, accolades, and a well-established identity. It is our resume, our bank account, our reputation. We hold it up with pride, showing everyone how full it is. But the master's lesson is devastatingly simple. A full cup cannot be filled. A mind that believes it is already complete has no room for growth. The very success that we cherish becomes the seal that locks our true potential away. We become blind not because there is no light, but because we are so full of our own certainties that no new light can get in. So the ultimate question is not what more you can add to your life, but what you are willing to empty. Are you willing to pour out a little bit of the certainty that comes with your success? Can you make space for doubt, for curiosity, for the humbling feeling of being a beginner again? The path to seeing your potential is not about achieving more, but about becoming more. It begins the moment you have the courage to look at your own full cup and admit, just to yourself, that you are still thirsty. Your greatest potential is not the next peak you can conquer, but the undiscovered landscape within yourself. Have the courage to explore it.